Talk about it on hey, we're back.
Hey everybody, we're live. We're back. Seneca Scott, friend and candidate for Oakland mayor, back again. Uh, Man, great to talk with you, as I say, backstage. But now that we're live, first of all, talk to me about what you think about the Oakland Post and Paul Cobb's office being attacked. I'm glad no one was there to be hurt, frankly. But
Uh,
I think it was an inside job. What do you think?
you may know more than me about the inside job, but $10,000 plus worth of stuff being stolen, the ransacking and damaging, and the only black newspaper. I actually was with Mr. Cobb a week ago today at a ceremony for chaplains, faith chaplains that do community work, community chaplain led by Pastor Scott, Phyllis Scott, who has a really good program. The police chief was there, and Mr. Cobb was there, and they both spoke. And right after this happened, so I hit up a couple people, including Mr. McConnell, who I've been trying to get help with my lawsuit from. He's one of the respected lobbyists here. So we have that lawsuit against the city.
Yeah, Greg McConnell, for those who may not know, Greg McConnell is the executive director of the Oakland Jobs and Housing
Not
Corporation.
anymore. He left.
Oh, he left. I didn't know that.
Nope, he retired. He retired, but he came out of retirement to come back for the McConnell group. So he's back. He's back on his group, doing whatever valuable work he does. You know him. He's the OG. So I like to talk to people like that to get some perspective. And I know that he's close to Mr. Cobb. So I hit him up like, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about while I'm running, and he agrees. Like, man, like you said, Oakland is a Batman. This guy from city, right? It's
right.
The more I talk to people, the more they're warming up with the energy that I bring to the race, which is someone who's actually going to be willing to be accountable and be present and boots on the ground, who's not going to disappear into Frank Ogawa or their house, right, and never be out in the streets with the people. So I hope they catch him, and it was just some video evidence. So they need to catch whoever did it. But this is happening all over Oakland. It's happening in the cannabis dispensaries. It's happening to retail stores. And our taxes don't get less, right? The city's not helping. Like, for example, San Francisco gave back money to cannabis companies because of the rampant theft and city conditions, public safety conditions. And so they gave back some of the money. Oakland pays 9.5% taxes, the highest in the state. It's extortion. And then they don't give any rebates. Where's the rebates from this stuff, from all these progressive? You know what I mean? Candidates, they don't care about these cannabis businesses or our cannabis businesses that are suffering, or these other businesses. Everybody's paying taxes. I got a story for you. There's a developer in my neighborhood, and the developer, I don't want to name any names just because I don't know how private he wants to be, but the developer went to get insurance because he's about to gut and renovate the building, a big commercial building, tens of thousands of square feet. And he's got to get insurance, obviously. No one will insure him because it's by Wood Street in the encampments.
Say that again?
No one will insure him.
Oh, by the way, I'm putting this on social media. That's why.
Go ahead. No one will insure him but Lloyd's of London. That's it. No company will insure this project but Lloyd's of London. Because
about this project to give viewers a clearer view of what's happening.
There's a commercial project in West Oakland where the developer, in order to get insurance for his project, he can't get it except from one insurer, Lloyd's of London, the oldest insurance company in the world. And in order for them to take on this him as a client, he has to put up a fence around the property, which is more money. Then the city of Oakland sends an inspector who says, you need to fix this fence and do it a different way. So now he's triple penalized for the lack of any public safety laws or rules or accountability in our city. How long do you think developers or businesses are going to stick around for this crap?
Oh, not long.
Right? They already divest plans, but if it doesn't come with some public safety and actually solving these problems or getting ahead of them, then it's going to be all for naught. So the same thing with the vandalism and theft from the Post. It's all part of the same narrative. We are without rule of law. We don't have enough police. 650 police is not enough. It's simple as that. It's not enough. They say we're supposed to have 1,100. I'm not on the police commission, so I'm not going to speak with insider knowledge of whether I agree with that formula or not. But here's what I will say. I've never heard of anyone challenge it.
What about Derek Sue's idea of emphasizing concealed carry and bringing, as he puts it, more of a vigilanteism?
Hold on. Derek Sue, all for the guns?
Yeah.
My man. I love it. Yeah. I got to go chase him down and talk to Derek and go shooting. He needs to talk to the Alameda County Sheriff. There's an Alameda County Sheriff's race right now. And I told the guy running for sheriff, if you want an easy victory, which he thinks he has anyway, you need to promise to actually approve law-abiding citizens CCW, because right now they just don't. Right. And Sacramento County Sheriff won off for that. So it's not like other people aren't doing that in California. I don't agree with vigilanteism. I know some of Derek's neighbors, so I'm not going to say anything mean about Derek. I'm happy that what he brings to the race, because he brings a voice that's forgotten and marginalized.
Right.
And he's consistent for that. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to say anything disparaging about the brother. I'm not that kind of person. So, especially.
I'm not either, but I do see, frankly, even though I'm not a gun person, the rate of violent crime cannot be denied. And
oh no, Zenny, bro, you already know where I stand on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I keep it. Yeah. But vigilanteism, no. Because here's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, your law-abiding citizen is going to go get his little squirt pistol,
his
little squirt gun from the gun store, and he's going to get rolled up on by multiple people with 3D printed Glocks with switches on them that go fully auto, 20 rounds a second, that are all over the streets right now. You're going to get your ass lit up. You have no idea what you're talking about. You better just give it up. Just give it up. I'm not saying don't protect yourself by any means, but if you think you're going to carry a gun and be safe by a little pistol, you don't know much about what's going on in these streets. These boys ain't coming with no squirt guns. They coming with them big guns right now. It's not a game. It's not a game right now. We're not trained for that. We're not. Look, I don't agree with that approach.
Sure.
As a policy, I would agree with his approach that people should be arming and protecting themselves, because I do.
But let me, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to put you in the role of being the mayor. Let me push back on you a little bit. What if, in having concealed carry emphasized, that unlocked people who were good people with a gun, but they happen to be good people with a lot of guns? So the good people with a lot of guns get a chance to go up against the bad people with a lot of guns. Because you're talking about the bad people with a lot of guns, right? But what about, there are good people who have...
They're not concealed carrying. They're coming out the car with the heat on them.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're talking about, look what happened to Ursi.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what happened to Ursi? Got his ass lit up. That's what happened to Ursi. He got one of them. Ursi went left. This is a trained police officer. I don't know the man. I'm so happy he's alive. Respect to him and his work in the community. What they're trying to bring back the program that he did, Libby. I forgot the name of it, but he's had a tremendous impact in his career with OPD, and he's a fellow cannabis guy like me, right? So if you listen to Ursi, holler at your boy, right? So don't take this personal, because you know what I'm saying is right. Because I train, but I ain't never been in no shootout that I'm gonna say, I never been in no shootout. So anyway, so he shoots the first guy, and the other guy runs to the right. There's a big concrete post that's about 4 feet thick. Ursi checks off the guy again on the ground and makes sure he's indeed down. Once he sees he's down, he calmly steps over the gas tank that's still connected to his car, and he goes around the left where there's no cover, and he seeks to engage, and he gets shot 6 times immediately and goes down. The other young man made a beeline for the back of the car where he would be safe first, like a trained person would, like a soldier. He knew exactly what to do, got in the car, kept it moving, lit him up, and got out of there. This is a trained OPD officer with training.
Yep.
Now, what he should have did is, these are the Monday morning quarterback stuff, but what he should have did was went right after he checked off the guy on the ground, how he gone right. He could have shielded himself from the guy on the ground and the car behind that cover and engaged the suspect there, right?
Yep.
And probably been able to get those guys who had a direct lead on that car. And I say all that story not because it's exciting and I know people want to hear it, but also that's the reality of gunfights. So here's the thing. I'm not saying this. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I go to court for April 20th. You know why I go to court? I got 3 misdemeanor gun charges for pulling my gun out on a freaking homeless dude who pulled a knife on me after he stole stuff from my garden. And I had
So you got a misdemeanor offense pulling a gun out.
I got the charges, brandishing and all that, right?
For just pulling.
No, I had to pull it out, brandishing, pulling them, telling them get on the ground. You're gonna pull a knife on me. I'm not gonna let you stab me, right? So cop rides by right at that time. Thank God, so I don't have to shoot nobody. And I waved the cop down. Hey, officer, take the firearm, keep everybody safe, they do their job. Long story short, first I'm charged with felonies, then they dropped it to misdemeanor. I talked to some people and got a lawyer. I'll be all right, it's gonna go away. To me, I'm gonna use it for the campaign just to illustrate my point.
And that's my point, though. You shouldn't get a ticket for that sort of thing.
I should not even be in trouble for that.
No.
I don't have a concealed carry permit, but I can't get one. They won't issue one.
See, and they should. And that's what Derek is saying. And all I'm saying,
he's right about that. They should issue them. So I say that to say I don't disagree with him, but as a city leader, you have to know better if you want to be the mayor than understand the liability you get by asking people to arm themselves and fight back against criminals.
Unfortunately, but here's my question. My question is, why have this
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Why have this like trough of service? Why have it where we don't have enough police? People are complaining about lack of response, and yet they can't respond themselves. That doesn't make any sense.
I can respond. You're right. Hey, look, get a fire. It's a responsibility. It's a tool. Take a chainsaw. A gun's like a chainsaw. Chainsaws are an incredibly dangerous tool. It's very easy to hurt yourself and other people if you don't know how to use it. The responsibility of firearm ownership comes with training. Yep. Right now, ammo is extremely inaccessible to poor people because of how expensive it is. There's a lot of factors at play here. You know how much trigger time you need to be proficient You're responsible for every bullet you fire. You fire somebody and that misses and goes into a house and kills someone, you're going to jail.
That's right. Yep.
Right? So, like, I take that stuff real serious. I don't just be on the Rambo stuff. Like, I train often. It's expensive.
In my mind, though, what I'm thinking about is if you have concealed carry, it's going to lead to ancillary services, training, offering for people who have it right.
You have to train to get it.
Right. So you'll have people who offer that.
Really good point. Yeah.
You'll have people who offer bulletproof vests so that you can have armor. My point is that as dramatic as this sounds, it's not as bad as what we have right now. We have a populace.
Look,
they're not.
I'm all for it. You don't even want me to start pulling out the bulletproof vest and the helmets and the big guns, but I'm not going to do it on the show. But yeah, I got all that stuff.
Yeah.
All of it, right? So yeah, I agree. Hey, law-abiding citizens, protect yourselves by any means necessary. That should go without saying. We don't approve CCWs right now, so you're going to have to risk a misdemeanor.
And that's exactly. And not only that, the city, if the city isn't going to arm people, at least give them bulletproof vests so that they have a fighting chance, even for kids to have them on. You know what
Wow, that would be so expensive. You know how much those are?
Yes, I do. I can buy one right now. Backpacks have, bulletproof vests in the back of them. That's $110. But my point is, at this stage, protect the kids. Let the kids wear them so that they're less likely to be damaged if a stray comes along. Have helmets so that they're less likely to be impacted. My point is as dramatic as it sounds, again,
that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's hard to argue against that. I would say that people in the Bay just don't have their head is in the sand, man. They are like the bubble's too intense here for people to even.
He says you have to leave the area for concealed carry weapons.
All right, somebody, Jay Hughes, my man. So, but look, I don't. It's a misdemeanor.
You shouldn't be.
It's only a misdemeanor, though. I don't want to say only, but I mean, like, come on, like, it's a misdemeanor. If that's a deterrent for you,
it should not. If the officer realizes you're obviously defending yourself and you haven't hurt anybody, they shouldn't just rip off a ticket just to give you a ticket for having the means to defend yourself.
They took my gun.
It's a deterrent, right?
Yeah.
It's just
they took your gun. I agree with you. But it's not. It's a non-starter in Oakland to get too deep onto the gun stuff. I just hint at it by having my videos that include me at the gun range, and by letting people know that I'm pro 2A, that I believe you should train. I teach people to shoot and train. I took Lauren in the shooting.
Is he good?
Yeah. At Richmond Riding Gun Club, just to have a nice talk with him. Because, like I said, I'll talk with anybody. You're right, whether I agree with him totally or not.
Seneca, you're telling me both of you were shooting your mouths off.
What's up?
You're telling me both of you are shooting your mouths off. I couldn't resist.
It's a good one. You gotta get it in there. So, yes, it's scary and it's gonna get worse. I hate to inform you, prices are going up. Inflation is going to continue. Energy prices are going to continue. Here's big news. This past week, we had these major things happening. And I don't want to get too far off of Oakland because one of the big problems with a lot of these people who are in power right now is they don't care about Oakland. They have their special interest, right? Either business and Chamber of Commerce, developers over here, and nonprofits, NGOs, and labor unions over here, and none of it has to do with the people on the ground. But I will talk macro for just a second because it does impact us.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Now, last week, several European countries have bought energy and oil for the first time in decades from other countries in non-US dollars. And there's been a decoupling from the second largest energy producer in the world, Russia, from the US because of the attacks on Ukraine. And now they're not taking any more dollars. The US dollar's world reserve currency status comes from one place only, the petrodollar. The fact that you have to turn your money into dollars to buy oil for your country. And that keeps America rich. Other countries don't like that. They've been waiting to get away from that, but they can't because we will bomb you. That's how it works. If we have the golden credit card, we defend it with the golden military. Those days are over, they're ending. We're going to war. The dollar is on a deathbed. We're about to be facing economic Armageddon. And if you think crime and destruction is bad in Oakland now, give it 4 months. Right?
4 months.
4 months.
So right? March, April.
March is over. April, May, June, July.
All right, so July 1st, you're telling me it's Armageddon.
No, not economic Armageddon, meaning that you're going to have a situation where people who've never even thought about food insecurities before are now food insecure. You're going to have situations where there's scarcity in places that you never thought, where people can't actually get to work anymore because the energy prices have increased so much they can't commute anymore. So they're stuck now.
They do remote work like I do, right?
But poor people don't remote work. Foundational class people don't remote work. That's an elitist endeavor. Poor people have got to go get in their cars to go to work because they're servants. They are service class. Like 80% of our GDP is consumption. Mm-hmm. We don't make anything anymore. We consume and we have a service, that's why Service International Workers took over as the biggest union because we went from a manufacturing society to a service economy.
I got to ask you, as a person who wants to be mayor, who basically wants to have his hands on the control of government, what do you do to mitigate that problem? Because
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
What do you do to solve that problem? Because you can't just say, I want to be mayor, right? Say we're headed to economic Armageddon, but then not have a plan. And
that's why I have overgrown Oakland. So right now, we're starting the Department of Agriculture. If I win, and that Department of Agriculture will grow food and medicine, plant medicine in all arable places. We're also already working with my nonprofit Neighbors Together Oakland is already working with Alameda County's Dig Deep program and Hank Levy from the tax treasurer, I forgot his official title, but he's the top guy who for the tax defaults and stuff to identify tax defaulted land and other land the county owns to urgently grow food and house people who have just got out of jail who are extremely housing insecure, right? Because of the economy and a lack of services for people who are incarcerated. And those are the solutions that I'm talking about. You've got to produce food locally, and I've been doing that since I've been in Oakland. You've got to produce food locally. We have the weather and we have the space to do it. We could put our heads on it and easily feed a city of 500,000 people with the arable land we have here in Oakland if our water source is consistent. And I'm not saying it's a big if, but that if is an important if because we don't have a natural water source to sustain that amount of agriculture means you're going to have to import that water, which means that is not completely sustainable unless you can figure out desalinization techniques for the ocean. And in that case, we're talking complete sustainability of our metropolis, at least in terms of being able to produce food, which is essential for modern society. 3 meals to anarchy, as they say, right?
On that note, I'd like you to talk about your event here. You posted on Twitter.
Hey,
yeah.
Every Monday, we give out tons of food at the garden. Emery Mello, one of our neighbors, leads it up. And they're a fantastic person. Emery has been doing this maybe 3 months now. But we always get food from the Alameda County Food Bank. We have relationships with them, and because there's long lines a lot, and sometimes people don't want to wait. So we just get it and put it on the table, and people can come take what they need. So if you see those pictures right there, those are people getting food from the garden. Um, we didn't grow it; it came from the food bank.
And you do this when
Every Monday,
at what time?
about 4 o'clock p.m. on 8th and Peralta.
I like that shirt. We deserve.
Yeah, that's the back of this one.
Aha. Aha. So you have shirts now. Uh-oh.
No, these are for my nonprofit.
Still.
Yes, but it's interesting. My campaign slogan is "Neighbors Together, We Deserve Better." My nonprofit is called Neighbors Together Oakland.
What street is this that you guys are doing this on? Where do you meet?
8th and Peralta on 4
8th.
o'clock p.m. on Mondays.
Every Monday, 8th and Peralta.
In front of Bottoms Up Community Garden. It's
So if a person needs food, they can come here.
oh yeah, they'll get a lot of food.
Huh. Quite impressive.
As long as it lasts.
What about if a person wants to donate food?
Oh, they can, as long as it's non-perishables, they can bring it. Because of the health and safety stuff, Alameda County Food Bank already jumps through all those hoops before they get their food. So it's safe to take it right from them, and it's always gone right away. And anything that's left that needs to be refrigerated or froze, we have a deep freezer in the garden. So we always have food for somebody. Nobody goes hungry. I mean, that was the Panthers' credo, right? Is that you need to, at minimum, be able to feed each other. I mean, they said we need healthy food for, I forgot the point. We should put it up there. I should know that.
Yeah, sure. Here. Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I was talking about the Panthers' statement about the healthy food in the communities. But this is the continuation of that energy where you need to make sure that people know where to access food, and we're not going hungry in the midst of abundance.
Oh, Mr. Goforth asked what his Twitter handle is. That is Seneca for Mayor. Let me highlight that. Oh, and by the way, I shouldn't have to say this, but some people out there are buttholes, so let me make this clear. I'm not promoting Seneca's campaign one way or the other. This is just what he's doing, okay? And it would be wrong to not present it if I'm asking for an update on his campaign. I see this in social media. I think that's intellectually dishonest, okay? So that's the way that I roll, and it would be wrong for me to leave that undone and unsaid. And yet, this man is providing a service to the community, and that's precisely what he's doing. Seneca for Mayor. Great job, my man.
Thank you. Yeah, we community livestock works, food works, it brings people together, and we're gonna need it. It's getting expensive, and it's getting scary expensive. Like I said, for 4 months, though, it's already happening. It's I mean, you go to the store. I went to the store yesterday, spent $250 on 4 bags of groceries, so it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we were 205. It's crazy out there. And
Crazy.
what bothers me is that, and that's why I was asking about government, and you're doing something, but our current city of Oakland government isn't doing anything, because if they were, you wouldn't have to do this, or they would be helping you, right?
Absolutely. They're just inaccessible and unaccountable.
This is something your current councilman, Carol Fife, is your council member. She's mine. She ought to be in right there in helping you do this sort of thing. And yet,
she spreads rumors amongst people that I'm anti-homeless and I hate, and I'm a sellout. It's kind of comical. It's kind of comical, but yeah.
Something to bring food to the homeless. What has she done? And she's the council member.
I can't speak to that. I don't follow her around, so I would say I'm not particularly happy as a as a voter. Um, so I'll leave it at that. Right?
Yeah, and I'm saying this because I said the other night, and the reason why I went on this tear is because I mean I don't want to turn this into that because this is supposed to be about you, but we talked about this off camera, and I object to a person being a council member who still acts like an activist rather than having their hands on the lever of government to help people, and yet use that time to have teach-ins that they could do and not take the taxpayer money. You know, she could be right there in there with you. That's all I'm saying.
But that's the accessibility. Our elected in City Hall are inaccessible and unaccountable, and they're beholden to their special interest. Our council person would say things like, I need to check with my base before I make a decision on this. No, you don't. You don't check with us. You mean ACE, who you work for? You mean the unions?
Tell people who are ACEs because you're using a lot of back. That's a lot.
You can look them up. I forgot the acronym. I forgot what it stands for.
Tell them what they do, though.
Housing. You can put it up. They do housing justice. They're actually pretty. Like I've worked with them a lot with SCIU, and let me pull it up. I don't want to misrepresent the organization. They're a nonprofit, Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, a multiracial, democratic, nonprofit community organization that builds power to fight and stand for economic, racial, and social justice. So here's the thing.
You can share that screen if you know how. I think there's.
Let me go back to the StreamYard and let me try to.
At the bottom, it says share, and there's a screen with a plus in the middle of it, and you go in and you hit that screen, and
it makes me. It's asking me to change my preferences. It's okay.
Okay, cool.
Here's the thing. They're a progressive NGO. This is what I'm talking about. This is not about your intentions. It's not about saying you're bad or the work you do is bad. It's about who's the focus. Their focus of ACE are systemic social economic issues. Carol works for them as the executive director. Your job is to represent these three. There is an intersectionality between the two, but there's also a conflict of interest between the two. If you look at your base, and many of these people are white, more than half your base is white. So just by default of the racial makeup of your base, you can't claim ACE encompasses your base.
Wait, are you telling me she's still executive director and yet council member?
I think so, yeah. You don't have to leave your job. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't want to say, people, you don't get paid enough as a city council person. You only get paid like $87,000 a year. You can't live off of that. So most people have jobs, right? And that in itself is a conflict of interest we don't talk about. Council persons should have 3-term limits, and they should be paid a lot more so they don't have to have another job. So they could be full-time, boots on the ground, and not be beholden to special interests because many of them come from nonprofits. Look, you have the chambers of commerce and your developers over here and your nonprofits and your unions over here. And they're not talking about things that affect everyday people in Oakland nearly enough. They do on the peripheral and the macro, but not on the day-to-day, boots on the ground. Here are the issues we need to solve in our city before we start entertaining these more lawful endeavors, right? And also, what's not spoke about enough is the restoration of justice that needs to be brought to the flatlands. The flatlands is owed a debt. We're owed a debt, and we keep electing mayors from the hills. Lauren lives in the hills. Shin Tile represents D4. The hills. We're going to stop electing people who don't represent most of Oakland, the foundation of Oakland, literally. Right? The average person in Oakland, I think, makes less than $60,000 a year, yet over half of our houses are worth more than $1 million. But we call ourselves progressive with this enormous amount of wealth disparity. How can you be progressive with no progress? Where's the progress?
You
Stop
got
blaming. That's all of them. I don't like that term. They don't get to use it anymore. So-called progressive. You know how Martin and Malcolm and them used to make this so-called. I love the old civil rights leaders. The so-called progressives. I'm gonna say that now. Yeah, it's Basura, right? Like it's so performative. And they don't want to have a public debate about it. I'm waiting for a public debate. I keep asking where they at.
wasn't there a debate last weekend?
Oh man, that wasn't a debate. Every time I raised my hand, they called on me though. They ignored Shing and they ignored Derek Johnson. I'll tell you that much. And I was going off in there because
On YouTube, where's the debate at?
I don't know, man. It wasn't a debate because I can't refute or talk to them. It's a forum. I want to talk right to the person and be able to rebut each other and expose how bad these people are. You know how much stuff I know about City Hall and politics and how much they failed us and lied to us and gaslit us.
Right. So you mean to tell me that this thing wasn't televised or live streamed or anything?
I don't know. You got to talk to the people who did it.
Huh. I'll do that. Wow. So, but was it in a room or it was in a?
It was Zoom.
It was Zoom.
100 people were there. Every single person running for office right now is there.
Okay.
DA raised, Board of Supervisor raised, Mayor raised, City Council raised, and it was a suffocating.
Candidates, they all show up.
Everybody showed up, and it was to me.
Peter Lou was there? Peter Lou was there?
No, he wasn't there.
Okay, no, so everybody. All right.
I'm sorry. My apologies. Derek wasn't there. Look, I don't mean to insult these people, but if you want to run for mayor, you got to increase your bandwidth. You didn't run for mayor 3 times, and you don't get invited to this stuff yet because you're not cutting through. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You gotta have me. If you don't have me, it ain't even a debate. You gotta have me there, right? So you got to make yourself in demand by virtue of your work and your messaging. And this is a year, not even a year. I did run for council, so let me take that back. This is less than a year and a half from that run of reintroducing myself to Oakland's political spectrum. And we've made a tremendous amount of noise, right? Because union organizers know how to fight, man. We got skills. That's why SCIU runs Oakland, because they know what they're doing. And I'm sorry, they helped run it into the ground.
Oakland's a union town.
But they helped run it into the ground.
It depends on which union you talk about. Because they go against each other, you know? It's like a union wars.
I'm really disappointed in labor right now. There's a complete disconnect and a palpable disdain for working class people. I'll give you an example. Shing Tayo, when she announced, they made this claim that she's the first candidate for Oakland ever to unite all the unions. But SCIU 2015 never endorsed her yet because they're still interviewing. You know who SCIU 2015 is? Home care workers. You know what home care workers are? Poor people, poor Black women, poor Latino women, poor Asian women mostly, poor women of color. It's the average person. And you completely forgot, and they have plenty of voters in Oakland. They haven't endorsed Shing Tayo yet. What is this audacious claim that she's united labor? Oh, you forgot the poor people again.
But I'm curious, how many people actually care about that?
Nobody in Oakland cares about that. That's why the unions can't get mayors elected. And in San Francisco, unions can't get mayors elected. They could get council people elected, but they can't get mayors elected.
Right, because I look around and I see a city full of remote workers, people who are programmers, people who are either in tech or impacted by the tech industry more than I think other folks realize. And I'm part of that group. But we're not affected by the unions. And I'm not saying that for pride. I think there's a bad thing about that.
We need more union workers. But yes, they're not. That's why they're disconnected. They think that these larger social economic goals and these messaging is connecting with people right now, and it's completely out of touch. Completely out of touch. And it worked for Fife because it was a different time. We were in COVID, locked in the house, and Trump was president, and everybody was just scared of anything that looked like the right. So anything that looked like it was different, we just voted for. Carol Fife was an extremely effective populist leader, and the unions paid a lot of money to buy her popularity.
You see, and the thing about Carol,
I want to add one more thing. What do we know Carol Fife for?
Moms for Housing.
And she gets all this credit for Moms for Housing, like it was this awesome thing, right? And it was so revolutionary, right? And she loves to talk about how revolutionary it was. You never lets the moment pass without bragging about it, right? I got one question for you. How come she hasn't done it again?
Because on its face, it's not legal.
I don't care. If it's a successful organizing tactic and you're bragging about it, you repeat it. It wasn't a one-off. That's not real organizing. Organizing is here's proof of concept. Now I'm about to run it up.
Well, that's the thing. I don't, and this gets to my overall.
It's fake, is what I'm saying. It was fake.
Well,
it was a publicity stunt.
But my overall criticism of how Carol runs her business, okay, not her personally. I actually, from what little interaction I've had with her, I actually happen to like her a lot. And I think because I like her a lot is why I'm criticizing. Does that make sense? Okay.
Perfectly.
Because she could be a lot better.
Well, she could be so much more effective if she would just stop beholden to the unions.
Right. But also if she would actually read legislation, like SB 293 Skinner for Howard Terminal.
She probably read it, but she's going to believe other. Look, Jenny, you know this, bro. Every legislation has two spins. There's a spin over here, or three spins, right? So it doesn't matter what the words say. The unions are going to say this is what it means to us.
Well, but the third spin is they're going to make up what they think it means and not admit they didn't read it. That's the real. That's the real.
You're a lot more insight on this than me.
Seneca. People read the legislation and then they get down to the part where it's really boring, which are the subdivisions and the notes, and their eyes glaze over and they don't finish the legislation. And 90% of the time they end up misquoting what the legislation says because they didn't finish reading the damn thing.
But don't they have policy people they pay for that?
The policy people don't read.
Oh my God. Is it this bad?
Yeah, it's that bad. You want to know why? Because the policy people are in a rush. They've got a pile of material they got to go through. Their boss asked them to cough up some opinion at the last minute. They skim through it, and what they get is the skimmed version of what the legislation is. That happens more often than not. And I can tell you from 30 years of experience at that, going all the way back to when I was intern at the Oakland Redevelopment Agency, and we had this person whose name I'm not going to mention who was supposed to be going over the legislation, but would let there were books in those days. This is 1986, 87. She would let them pile, okay? And I said, hey, can I take those on? And she would not give them to me. So I actually complained. She got mad that I complained and said, here. And she said something like, I guess you can tell we don't like smart people around here. That's Oakland for you, all right? And Oakland hasn't changed much, all right? That was 1986, okay? So I was proud to read the legislation for the most part because it was extremely important to the city, but also because nobody else cared. It's the same damn thing today, Seneca. People don't care to read. And I mean read the parts they don't want to read. Okay?
Well, I think it's worse than that now. We in America have a severe reading comprehension problem because of our poor education. So to further your point, Zenny, and I'm not excusing these highly educated people who don't have reading comprehension problems, who are just lazy, but in addition to that, we actually do have a reading comprehension issue. We're on phones and we don't even know how to really spell anymore. And our communication has really changed in a way that's not good because we've changed to remove nuance and sophistication from the way that we talk and think. And the absence of nuance is the beginning of tyranny, as some famous person once said, right? So I get it, man. But Oakland has so many people like yourself who do read it all. Why not just empower them?
Well, hey, read Oakland Newsnowblog.com.
There you go.
Yes,
That's all you gotta do.
yeah, search Howard Terminal, watch Zenny 62 on YouTube. I do my part, man. I
Save
really
your money. Save your money, people. Don't hire those policy people who don't read.
Oakland Post, keep the Oakland Post going.
Got the post. Look at the post right here. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. But hey, by the way, and the way we got on this, folks, is that talking about Councilmember Fife is off camera. I was mentioning that a Rules Committee, she brought up, well, Councilmember Noel Gaio of District 5 brought up this idea of wanting to do a cost-benefit analysis or have the staff do one for Howard Terminal. And in the middle of the discussion, Councilmember Fife popped off about basically not getting the respect she believed she deserved strictly as the District 3 council member. And where I took issue with that is I have a simple rule. You want to show people you're not in power, whine that people are not respecting you.
All she does. Every single meeting with Fife, just here's my number. Nobody likes me. You should just call my office if you have a problem with me. All this we-call talk is dumb. I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, yo, relax, lady. Like, it's so insecure. She barged her way into my freaking event, had a We Deserve Better festival where I invited Lauren Taylor and Chief Armstrong to speak. And she shows up and says, can I speak? And I said, no. And Tara Locke says, you have to let her speak or you're breaking the law, which is a lie.
Why would you break in the law?
I don't know, because I don't know. It doesn't matter because it's a lie. The point is she consistently brings him and try to intimidate me, which is comical because you've already heard the story earlier about how I get down. You're not going to intimidate me. Nobody in this fucking world is going to intimidate me, right? So it's just not going to happen. So it's funny to me, but it's also kind of corny. Like, bro, like, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Tell you off camera. But I said, you know what? Look, I talk to them. They know what we're talking about. We have a message we're delivering here. I didn't talk to you about that. It's not like I coached them, but look, I'm going to let you speak. This is about We Deserve Better, not about the homeless camp. This is about bringing Oakland together to work together and end the division. And I invited people from different perspectives who have had battles next door with each other to come here and to bury the hatchet and stuff. We used to emulate that energy. I'm sitting here with my hand on the mute button, and if you say anything I don't like, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to grab my microphone, and I'm going to see you. Right? And then she went and she spoke, and for the next 5 minutes, all she did was talk about, or more, about how much people don't like her, and gave her cell phone number out to a bunch of people who she never returned their calls. It's pathetic. The unions just left her. The unions, she should be mad at them. These people that paid her $500,000 and moved you into a district and got you a house to buy you an election and then left you on an island by yourself, making you bear the brunt of all their stupid policies. Instead of doing
who's doing her chief of staff? Tanya Love seemed like she's capable. Was Tanya still working for her?
I don't know. I don't care nothing about that office, bro. Put it this way: I don't win mayor race. She's going down in 2 years. It's over for her. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. It's over for her. She ain't beating me next time. Are you kidding me? Not a her. No way in hell. People hate her. So either way, she's a one-time council person.
Constituent, I'll make it clear. I don't hate Carol.
I said people hate her.
I get you. But my point is that she's the problem, and we started talking about Moms for Housing, and I think I want to basically make sure I answer your question and close this loop before we move on to the next subject. But the problem was that what Carol did, if you read Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District legislation and Oakland, and then look at Oakland's history of eminent domain, she could have fashioned a way to do it in office. But my point is, she doesn't take time to sit down and model out what the legislation allows her to do. Sit down, not just by herself, but with her colleagues, with people like, Rebecca Kaplan's good at that sort of thing, and model out what the legislation allows and does not allow, with the objective of the acquisition of public properties and housing to release them for the homeless, okay? And then just model out, say, okay, if we get challenged legally, what's our argument going to be? Have a game plan, right?
It's the lack of sophistication that's
right,
prevalent. Yeah,
right.
they're not sophisticated.
That's what I'm saying. Then she gets mad. And see, the reason she gets mad, Seneca, is because she doesn't have her plan. People respond to you when you work your plan. Everybody she's talking about, she's responding because they're doing what? They're working their plan. Noel's working his plan, right? And she is apparently jealous because other people are taking actions about a subject and a project that is in her district. Howard Terminal is her district. But she can't, that's the nature of district operations and politics in Oakland. It's been for a long time.
But people need to know, she already told people she wasn't going to vote for that. So either she's a liar or John Jones Democratic Club has no integrity. Because that was it.
Or how about this, Seneca? They just didn't understand what they were talking about because as council member, look, you're active. Even if you abstain, it's a vote, right?
Yes, it's a vote.
She's got no choice. No choice.
No, she promised to vote no and be against the stadium. And she hasn't clearly done that. So my question is, did she lie? I mean, I don't care, it's just one endorsement, but it just goes to character. Did you lie to get that endorsement? What do you stand for? And for the John Jones Democratic Club not to call her out on it, when that was supposed to be your issue, are you guys now bootlicking? Are you like sucking up because she's in office? Right? I don't respect people like that.
I'll tell you, anybody who would take that position on a piece of legislation that complex shows me they didn't read the legislation. Because if you're going to back away from $9 billion, you hear what I'm saying? $9 billion in tax increment revenue, and a piece of legislation that says you can use that for citywide projects of community value, you're crazy. So John George, from that perspective, has no business weighing in on Howard Terminal.
But they did it in defense of ILWU workers. You know the rap.
Yeah. Don't know the legislation. I told Mike Jacobs this, who represents the longshoremen. Mike knows we're good friends. Mike knows he can take a piece of that and get his maritime operation of the tax increment, okay? You can get a piece of that and get your new truck stop, okay? You can get a piece of that and get your project for reparations in West Oakland. It's $9 billion, dude. So these people are nuts. You hear me? Nuts.
Well, now what are we doing? Is the stadium going to happen or not, Sonny?
You know what? I'm an advocate for the A's going to Vegas because if I were an A's executive, I'm not talking about Fisher. I would say, you know what? I have an organization to run. I have spent maybe $100 million or whatever they spent on staff for City of Oakland. And the mayor hasn't given me a tax increment revenue quote. I got a guy who used to
What is a tax increment revenue quote?
Tax increment financing works like this, okay? In the case of Howard Terminal, it's 55 acres, okay? Plus the additional district land they've identified. When the city puts into law the public financing authority by law, by economic enhanced in infrastructure financing district law, folks, they bring the tax increment district to life. What that means is that the property taxes that businesses pay who are in that district that normally go to the city of Oakland, the county, the school district, BART, and AC Transit all go to the public financing authority, and they collect it in this way. The first year of the life of what we would call the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District project area or Howard Terminal project area, you take that first year of increase in the assessed value of the base year. Let's say it's $2 billion for the base year. You increase it. Let's say it increases at 4%. You subtract that.
What's 4%? 40 million?
No, it doesn't matter the number. It's the process. Okay. You subtract that. And that difference, you multiply that difference times the tax rate, that gives you your first year revenue. You do this 45 times mathematically, that gives you what your expected total revenue would be, which would be $1,600,000,000. You say, okay, I expect to get $1,600,000,000. You don't wait to get it. This is something you calculatively estimate, okay? And then you say, all right, I'm going to make a bond issue around that. What's my debt coverage ratio going to be? Well, generally, it's 2-to-1. What does that mean? It means you use 1/2 of that 1.6 billion. That's 800 million. So now you take the 800 million and you say, all right, of that 800 million, how do I dole it out? This is my source, right? What are my uses? How do you dole it out? Okay, the A's say they need 350 million, they're going to pay it back, right? So the A's get their carve out. That leaves me $450 million left. That's a huge chunk of change. Now, there should be, by law, an infrastructure financing plan that tells you and me and the public how this tax increment is going to be spent. And that spending, that spend list should be in it. We have neither. What that spend list should tell you, among other things.
So how do we address?
Hold on a second. What that spend list should tell you is what the community group spent, over a year meeting amount to form the plan, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Put a price tag on the plan on a per item basis, fit it in there, and wherever there's the difference, you take that difference out of there and say, okay, we'll pay for this another way. I'll get to that in a second, all right? But there's your spending your spending pattern. Here's the good news about what I just presented to you. It's only based on a base year of $2 billion, which would include the ballpark plus, the planned other event center and other buildings, right?
The housing, yeah.
But the build out is $12 billion. So you could design it to say, all right, if we get anything extra, which you will, then you have another bond issue that's floated around that. Okay, so you have a plan to deal with the excess. Okay, so you mean to tell me these people are stupid enough to chase away money that could transform in a positive way West Oakland, keep Maritime, have the ballpark, clean up the transportation access downtown, get the affordable housing done? If you can't do that, you have no business running government. And that's what I'm complaining about with Carol or anybody else. It's like, wait a minute, knock it off. Learn what is there and use it. You have people on the street waiting for government to be active, to get its butt together and its head out of its ass, to help people get off the street, into housing and into a gainful and accelerated life. And we can do that.
Yeah, because we can do that if we get.
Okay. And Carol ashamed of herself for not doing it.
We need to, in terms of the housing, you're gonna have to. There's not enough money right now to pay for both housing and the wraparound services needed to keep people from burning.
If you do a Howard Terminal, even if you don't do the ballpark, it's got nothing to do with the ballpark. It's the fact that the legislation opens up the use of tax increment financing from whatever is built there. Okay. Carol's fixed on, it's a ballpark. You know what? It puts 40,000 people there. You could use that as a large-scale event center for concerts, special events.
So many things.
A gigantic food drive for you, right?
It changes the whole city.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. This crap's ridiculous. And people around the country are laughing at us, Seneca. I watch NCAA, it's in San Francisco. It used to be in Oakland. Because we had it at Oracle. We fought to get that. We gave it away to San Francisco. Now Oakland is almost out of the mention on the national stage. Because we let sports go, because people are like, well, it's sports.
We spoke about that last time.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't monopolize the conversation, but
no. I think it's a good segue into what is Oakland known for? What is our identity? And I'm not as concerned with our national stage than what goes on here. Actually, right now, we don't even need no company. The house dirty. I don't want no company in the house. You don't invite nobody to your house when your house look like Oakland. I mean, come on now, right? It's just we should be ashamed. So we need to address those urgent issues definitely first. But I do agree with you that there needs to be a aggressive change in leadership, and this is the time to do that. And I'm the person.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And especially with the news of my man Derek dropping out, my job just gets that much easier because Derek got a lot of support. Right? Not enough to win, but enough to hurt somebody.
Can he beat Nikki? I personally don't think he can. I'm just playing. I'm saying that publicly.
I think a potato can beat Nikki right now.
Who? I never underestimate her, man.
Nikki is not liked, and the unions are going to be hard pressed to spend a lot of money on her and lose.
Wow.
They can't lose her seat, so they'll go for it. But people don't like her. I haven't met anybody who's like her fight for so long that wasn't a nonprofit or a union. No, to your point, people work at home in their pajamas now. They don't care about that stuff. A lot of the Oakland voters, they got money. Their house worth $1 million. They got equity. They don't care about that nonprofit union shit. I want to go downtown. I want to go to downtown and have a drink with my friend and back without having my car broken into or being mugged. Or I want to be able to have people to visit me in my city without having to give them specific directions around the different homeless camps and dump sites, so we don't have to be like, what the hell is this?
Right.
Even worse, the people who, that's just us. What about the retail businesses? Arthur Max on Martin Luther King and 40th. These guys are so nice. They get pizza away every Sunday. Good pizza, by the way. Expensive pizza. They keep their price points accessible to the community. They put an enormous amount of thought into how much to charge for food because they wanted to be a place where people could come. They're from Oakland. They care about their city. They're about to divest. Why? Because this burn out RVs, they got robbed twice in the past couple of weeks. Can't make any money here. It's not philanthropy. They're willing to do philanthropy, but the business is to make money so they can pay taxes and buy houses and education and legacy for their children, you know, and go on vacation and live a life. These people don't want much. These are simple Oakland guys. They're not looking super rich. Yep. They're just hardworking entrepreneurs who understand how to work a restaurant, and they've got a bunch of them and a nice little consulting group. But they're still very much foundational class people, business success aside, and now they're going to take that business success to Hayward. Why would I work here? Hayward has just as many people. It's the same diverse community, and we don't have all to deal with all of this stuff. I'm going to go to Hayward. Fuck it. I can't spend money here. My insurance is too crazy. It's going up. So now we're penalizing our businesses for our lack of public safety and a lack of accountability and our leadership. And it seems simple. Look, I don't care. Look, we both black men who love our people. You think we want some racist cops killing our brothers and sisters in the street?
Nope.
But you can't have 650 cops when you're supposed to have 1,100. Or maybe you're supposed to have 1,000 or 900. I don't know. But 650 ain't working. And we're going the opposite way. And you can't have enough police academies quick enough to catch up, which means you're going to have to recruit from outside. How are you going to recruit from outside if you're villainizing your police and your city's not safe? What cop is coming here? Why would I go work at OPD in my right mind? To deal with Cat Brooks? Seriously, why? I'm not coming there. Maybe that's what they talk about, $50,000 bonuses and stuff like that. Shing Tayo. Shing likes to walk on both sides of the aisle. She thinks she's slick, but we're gonna push her to the woke. we're gonna push her to the woke. She's gonna have to fly that flag. We're not gonna let her do that. Because one of the things I know about the union is that there will be certain issues that they'll demand loyalty to. And just because they gave her a pass on the police, you got to make her fight against Fife and them. So this is the thing. They don't really stand for what they say they stand for, because they'll work with each other and be buddy-buddy, but villainize people who support the same thing that the person they're working with support for their own optics. Right? I'll give you
with Chief Armstrong about this, Lauren Armstrong.
Oh yeah, he knows all about it. Look, I am aggressively pursuing the endorsement, and I make this public, from OPOA and Barry Donnellan. And here's why. I don't care if at this point, if they give it to someone else, shame on them. Treva and Lauren both said no. They changed their mind because they realized the wind shifted. And you give it to them, and not me, I don't ever want to hear another op-ed from Barry Donnellan again complaining that nobody supports him in his office. You did that.
Oh, he's trying to basically I call it a carve out. No, it's
he needs to give me that endorsement, and he knows it. I want it.
Barry
needs to give me that endorsement.
Barry?
It's not his job. It's just, here's a board. He has to go to the board. There's a democratic process for these things. But he needs to advocate for me. The same way that Chief Armstrong and Chief Armstrong's chief of staff will hopefully advocate for me. I think they will. All signs are positive, and I'll make it very public. People say, well, you support the police? I support OPD and our Black police chief. Yes. Let's talk about it. Police commission. Let's talk about it. Public safety. Where's macro? Implement macro, Kaplan. Do it. What you waiting for? You know what they waiting for. That shit ain't gonna work. It sounds good on paper, but very first week, somebody's gonna get assaulted, and they're gonna demand to have OPD escort, which means that you should have involved them in the plan in the first place. But you made a plan to replace them, and it's a formative plan that you never want to implement because you know it's not gonna work. Implement it. You know what we all say, implement macro.
She's my supervisor.
You know what's funny? Everybody here hopes she wins, so she gets the hell out of here. That's how bad it is. Smart lady.
Wow.
Lazy.
We gotta have you back. We gotta have a group.
Hey, we
gotta have a group too. Hey, so closing out, let me ask you a question having nothing to do with Oakland politics, at least not directly. Who's gonna win Best Picture at the Oscars?
I don't know what's up. What's up for it?
Oh wow. Let's see. For Best Actor, I think it's going to be Will Smith. For
Serena.
Oh yeah, Best Picture. I would be surprised if Power of the Dog doesn't win. I would be surprised if Dame Champion didn't get Best Director. Yeah, there you go. I've covered the Oscars for you.
I haven't seen any of these movies, man. I feel like
I haven't seen them either. But you know what? I'm a big junkie for Oscar politics and who votes for what.
You know, I saw Don't Look Up. That was good. What's The Power of the Dog? What's that about?
The Power of the Dog is about, it's a period piece. You know,
it's on Netflix. I got it right now. I'm looking at it. Western drama.
I don't know exactly what it's about. I forgot. I
think they got Benedict Cumberbatch and Jesse Plemons. Oh wow.
Yeah. The Power of the Dog is about this old West tale that's kind of like, you know what? I guess it's like a combination of Yellowstone and Brokeback Mountain.
I heard Yellowstone was fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's Kevin Costner's doing his thing.
Yeah.
You know, I work so much with this mayor stuff. I don't have any time for TV and movies anymore. It's nonstop. I'm trying to be the hardest worker to show Oakland why they should vote for me, and be that change agent.
every Monday, right?
Every Monday, 4 o'clock, come out to Bottoms Up, get some food.
8th and Peralta, you got it. Hey, Seneca, stick around in the background, folks. Hey, everybody, subscribe to Zenny62. Bookmark OaklandNewsNowBlog.com. Hey, support Black-owned media, by the way.
Yes.
We're in siege. We're fighting.
And somebody, there's a donation for the Post. Is there any donation for the Post? A GoFundMe?
Donate to the Post. Invest in Zenny62 Media startup.
Hey. You can't say it, but I can. Vote for Seneca Scott.
There you go, my man. No, I can say, hey, look, cast your look. It's ranked choice voting, okay? Why not? I mean, I roll a different way. I think there are a number of people who'd be fantastic mayors of Oakland. I think you're one of them.
Thank you.
You know, absolutely. I'm not. Look, there's no such thing as objective journalism, okay? That's a joke. I mean, the simple fact. Look, you want to know. You want to know how it's proof, okay? A person who would argue that journalism is objective throws away their objectivity in arguing it to begin with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, okay? It's impossible to have objective journalism. The minute you choose a subject matter, game's over. I don't care if it's assigned to you. You could say, I don't want to do it. So it's not, it's crazy. And not only that, I remind everybody this closing out. White journalists advocated for the killing of Emmett Till. Okay? White journalists backed it. The men who were charged with doing it were acquitted, all because Emmett Till reportedly said hello to a white woman, Carolyn Bryant, and decades later, she said she lied about it.
Yep, and she's still not being brought up for charges, even though there's no statute of limitations on that.
So here are these supposedly objective journalists backing the killing of a 15-year-old kid because he's black? That's crazy stuff, man. So I'm tired of this. I'm a journalist. You know what? Be a blogger. Okay? Be a blogger. Because bloggers are open about where they're coming from. We have a blogger's rule of ethics. We check each other. We have open arguments and criticisms of what each other does. And then we fight, and then we make up over great dinners. That's what bloggers do. Be a blogger.
I like that. We need more of them.
Man.
Yep. I'll be here.
Okay. I'll stick around.